So, Carlos, we talk about your first book there in the previous podcast where we spoke about AI and also your training as well. But your second book is about methodologies of education. So, how does that differ too much from your first book? Is this particularly targeted to students or
No,
people who
this
are?
one is more about educational theory, and it's only because the staff at the university where we're studying has done such an amazing work at getting us to read the fundamental theories of education that I kind of got my attention picked. And the reason why my attention got picked is if you go today through educational theory, generally speaking, you find things that are really updated. You find things that humans are learning in the same way, but we're not using the same platforms. I had this
Mhm.
discussion with my superiors because we were at some point we were discussing what is the best platform for our students to discuss. And it is my opinion that my students, which are either digital natives or spend a lot of time in computers, have pre-selected, just like you would choose a place in your city, in your mind, they have a map. I'm gonna go here. Why do you go to Reddit, for example? You could get the same result in Quora. Why do you go to Stack Overflow, which is for programmers only? You could, I mean, and when you start asking those questions, then I don't really think that my students are going to learn in the same way. I mean, I told you this story before as well, which is that my cousin, I was visiting him, he lives on the States.
Oh, yes.
To me, it was a shocker because I invited him for dinner and I said, listen, I don't see you often. I would like to invite you for dinner. And he said, no, I have a meeting with my friends. And then I was like, okay, he's going to meeting already. We take it another time. We take it tomorrow. And I come to his room and he's playing Fortnite on Xbox. And then I was like, I literally asked him like, were
Mm.
you not going out? And he says, no, but I am playing with my friends. And to me, that was a eureka moment, which is he's not making communal links in the same way as I do. He's not. And I don't think for a fact that anyone right now in education is very understanding of that because we're stuck in what we understand is correct learning. Of course, there's plenty of problems. There's lack of attention. There's many books that speak on that. There's too much time on screen. There's reducing attention spans on apps. But that's not going to send us back to the Middle Ages and have horses.
Yeah.
Technology is still going to be there, and we're going to make our students a disservice if we are not introducing them in the techniques and elements that they need to build a future. Because what the industry is going to go back, it's not going to happen. So I think that we're doing as academia, we're doing a disservice by not
Yes.
understanding, by trying to put it. I get a professor that is fantastic, has many experience, has been years in the trade, but has never taught online. And then I have to explain to this person what is Reddit even, what is a forum, what is happening. And so there you can immediately see that it's not that this person is incompetent. It's simply that it's looking at a mirror image of a different way of learning.
Yes.
And in England, you also have this other guy. Well, in the UK, you have this other pedagogue called Wegerif. I Swegerif. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. And he writes a bit about this. For example, his courses are mostly forum based, and a lot of people means that written language is difficult. But written language is also a part of communication. It helps you articulate what you say more slowly. So he has
Yes.
studied that these relationships happen over time. You're having a conversation across time and space. So it's quite a complex dynamic. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of things happening in one single forum post. Every time you comment on someone on LinkedIn, you're sending a message to a future person, and you're sending also across time. You're not here, but I'm still discussing with you, and I think that's wonderful. And Vegerev also mentions, I think it's Vegerev, that we tend to think that technology appears and then the people uses it, but no, it's people uses the technology and then it starts growing, which is why we see a lot of these online platforms growing up. This week was launched this game, Marble Marble something. It was on TV. I'm not that young to remember the Marble Rivals or something like that. That was the name. And it's based also on the premise that you're going online, you're going to make clans, and you're going to discuss the same logic that built World of Warcraft, the same logic that built communication on Twitch, the same logic that built your Steam chat, the gamer platform, is there. So I think that we still have not come long enough, because basically we are the youngest, we're the oldest that have been on two worlds. So when we take over, when we go one step above, then we're going to see that no, this is how they're learning, and there's nothing wrong with that. This guy had a student that was terrible at writing. He mentions it, and he's done a very good transversal study on across many levels. And then he says, this student was terrible at writing. She hated it, and in the end, he got a note from her saying, "I still don't prefer to write, but I see the value of it."
Oh,
Yes, and there's also, for example, studies, and you can take this one with a pinch of salt, but it says it as well there. I do believe it's true. Some of his theories, people out there that know better might refute, but I personally cannot disagree. And he says, for example, that it is very good, for example, at leveling the field, especially for women. Because if you are in a room where there's a lot of dominating people that speak a lot louder than you, you're probably going to eat up your comments. But online, you can type. You have time to articulate your ideas. It's not just shutting you down.
yes.
You have this. You come to equal ground in communication in a way.
Yes. I really, really enjoy this. I can't wait for the book to come out, because I enjoy the fact that, as you say, we're the oldest, but also still young, the generation that have experienced both. We've experienced learning traditionally in a classroom, and we've experienced learning and training within a virtual setting as well. And having the communication and changing our styles of learning, or changing our styles of teaching, has really affected the way, has really been affected by what we're surrounded by. I mean, if we take it to back in the day, really back in the day, before our time, when people were communicating via stone and chisel, and and that's like one big rock that you have to now send somewhere or whatever. And we was even, people were sending letters as well during our time, and birthday cards, or similar things, where things were all very paper based. And sustainability came along and has pushed us to rethink about what we're doing to our trees, and in a way, what the virtual side of things is more sustainable. People can learn while having a young family. People can learn while having dependent members of their family. People can teach even with those kind of surroundings.
Yep.
But so it's opened up, as you say, opportunities for both. The female has now got a lot of opportunities that she can do as well. And as you say about the voice thing, I've been there. I've been in a room full of construction men, and you think, right, get my vocal on, I now need to speak, especially because it's so loud and everyone's so tall, and I might be a bit shorter, and it's like, try to get your voice
it's a
here.
mechanic, which doesn't mean that they disrespect you, but it also makes it difficult for you to express your point across. But if you express it coherently in a short comment, it's very hard to argue with that, because then the people opposing you have to articulate as well.
Yes, exactly. Exactly that. And I think it's the, sometimes you say, oh, it's always the silent one. Really, were they silent, or were they vocal, but everyone else were more vocal? They were louder. So sometimes it's it's about the way that we challenge ourselves when we've encountered such experiences, that we need to kind of just take a step back and look at really what has happened. And I think, a generation where you say a professor doesn't know where a forum is and things like that, it's easily done, if you spend time doing that. And it also brings across, I mean, this is kind of dating this podcast a bit, but tonight here in the UK, there's a new program starting, and it's to do with a school that has banned mobile phones. for 3 weeks. And so they're doing a study and I can't wait to watch it. It's, it's on my list. I really want to watch it.
It's
And
probably going to be very interesting. Sorry about that. You were saying the problem with the vocal people that cannot know when to.
There we go. That was a great example. That was
But,
it. I'm joking. I'm joking. Well, that's the whole point. I got you on the podcast to be vocal, but but yeah, no, I think I can't wait to see what impact it has, because someone said, oh, it's like living, way back in the day. It's like,
Mhm.
it's not like, this is like something from history, not having a mobile phone and constantly having it. And then I want to see, my interest is to see if they start to appreciate the world around them and speak to the person next to them and realize, oh, did that cupboard really exist there? Did we really pass that school every day on our journey to another
Yeah.
school? Like, I want to see how things will come out of that.
And I mean that speaks to the ills of the technology. In Spanish, we have a saying which is, "The solutions of today are the problems of tomorrow." So of course, technology has solved many issues, but of course it's dropping attention rates. I never understood why a student has to have a mobile phone in class, and because that's the teacher's terrain. And of course, I don't deal with starting years. I deal with adults, but still, it's kind of a, there comes the big question, and it's okay to be experimenting, but it's not okay. And I think that's where we go into the ground of a disservice, because this has been taken as a revitalization of all things. We live in highly industrialized technologies. What are the jobs that are out there for our young people? Robotics, programming, highly competent technical skills that are well paid. And I don't think that any parent whatsoever wants their children to be cut off from those
Yeah.
opportunities. And of
Yeah.
course, but there's what we need to balance out, which is, of course, we need to learn. This is rather new. Cell phones are in our lifetime, so they are. I mean,
Yeah.
my mom had this big Motorola. It was like a brick, like
Oh,
a
I
masonry
remember
brick.
that.
I
Don't say your mum had it. I'm sure I had the Motorola.
you have the brick, the radioactive cancer brick. It was just terrible.
Yeah,
And
I don't know. It had an antenna thing on top.
it,
Did
it
she
was
have?
it
Oh,
was, it
your
was
mum had that?
it was like a walkie-talkie. So we
She's cool.
so we saw the change from beeper to that. And again, in probably your panel already your listeners already know our age, approximately, but
Maybe.
but
Fully.
but that but that is the thing, which is that technology is rather new. How we're going to deal with it, we are going to have to deal, but it cannot be this ostrich theorem. I'm gonna put my head on the sand and the danger will go away.
Yeah.
We just, that would be, in my opinion, a high disservice.
See,
Because
you mentioned, just to take it back a step there, sorry,
Mhm,
Carlos, to cut
mhm.
you off, but you mentioned about in the class, you make sure that people, that you prefer if they don't have their mobile phones and things like that. I have started to use technology in meetings or classes in a way that requires for them to have their mobile phone. So, do QR codes and doing like, little quick tests, little quick kind of
Kahoot,
Q&A, things
like
like that.
example,
Yeah. And it's doing things in a more competitive way, because I've realized no matter what age group you are, and this works for adults of all ranges, I've tested this on, and they become very competitive,
it's
no matter
engaging.
what the result is
It's
going to be.
engaging. It's gamification,
Yes.
which is a very interesting concept, but it's also
Yeah.
quite new. And that's
Yeah.
that's my point, which is, what this study is going to show is, obviously, in the beginning, that our students are of course more focused. Well, that's my 2 cents. I don't know. I hope I'm not learning to be a sightseer right now, and that's how we learn that I have powers. But my point is that the study is going to show initially that probably that children are going to be more focused, which is okay. I'm more concerned what's going to happen as these children move into their adult life, and then they have to really get themselves a job, really start using computers. I've been using computers since I've been 12. I
Hmm.
I opened them, closed them, installed everything,
Wow.
and so I did everything. Because I was ruining them so often that my dad told me you have to fix it or you don't get a new one.
Yeah.
So, but I would have resented my possibilities today in life if I had been scared of technology to the degree that some people are. Because
Hmm.
it's not the issue is not technology. I believe that just like in life, right? You like chocolate, but you cannot eat it on every single meal. You like
Oh, who
candy.
said that?
I don't know. I tried, but it looks bad on the shape. So no, but I tried it, and I mean, not eating chocolate, but no, but my
That's a
point.
whole other podcast
Yeah,
in
no,
itself.
we don't go into that. You're gonna get uproars and a lot of things here. No, but that's the point, which is you cannot expect that we're going to have a full generation of young people that are going to that are to be expected to pick a technological enterprise ahead, and we're going to give them rocks to play.
But do you think exactly? I mean, don't you think that, with every generation, it doesn't get softer, but the technology becomes more. So, we worry about the children of today graduating with having used just technology. Yeah, parts of their brain or parts of their functions won't work as much as other parts that would have been more interactive and more
Mm-hmm.
sociable, maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's the office of tomorrow. Maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
the way of working tomorrow.
Are we
Today
not
we work in a hybrid.
are we not being
Tomorrow,
social now?
yeah. So,
That's exactly
exactly.
that's exactly my point,
Hmm.
which is that I would not demonize net interactions. Of course, I'm highly social. I meet my friends all the time, but what we're doing here, this exchange of ideas across countries, across time zones, across everything,
Exactly.
it's communication,
It
and it's
is in a different form.
yes, it's simply in a different form. And of course, there's going to be people like everything else that are going to prefer this type of communication. Now we should be watchful about this because it has been proven that it leads to isolation. So we need to know what to do and where the line is, and it will probably take some years for us to find this out.
Yeah.
But what we are doing is communication, knowledge sharing, building bridges. It's
Exactly. Are we any different from your cousin though? Because in a way, we are communicating. It's not playing a game, but it's quite fun doing a podcast.
Mm.
We're very, very similar in a way. Mm.
It's the next. I would say that it's probably the next step. Now I would not have meet my, but to be fairly honest, I do have one friend.
Yes.
He's one of my closest friends, and he probably will listen to this podcast, so I need to keep things quiet.
Oh, you have to say hi, friend.
We keep hi. I'm not gonna say the name, but for example, he has a very busy agenda, and he doesn't really have time. He's got a young family, and he doesn't really have time to see the people in his life. So for him, playing online 1 or 2 hours a week has become the way in which he keeps people that he appreciates close or that he loves.
Yes.
And I think that's an we can discuss until the hands go home, but it's a for some people it's a valid type of interaction, and I think we have to be more open to the fact that it is an interaction and it is happening. And would you have done it that way? No, but that has nothing to do with other people. They're doing what's best for them. My cousin was doing what was best for him,
Yeah.
not for
But one question that I would say though, with this kind of new type of unnatural communication, because this is unnatural in a way,
him.
natural is what not necessarily what we grew up with, but natural is when you turn to a colleague, you turn and speak to someone, and it's in human form. You speak with someone who's a friend, who's a family member or colleague or whoever. And it's natural to speak within that realm. What do you think this is doing on the health of society? Because, health is a big thing. There's so many aspects to it. But the health of society where you almost maybe feel trapped, or you can just switch people off just by closing the cover of your
Yeah,
laptop or
yeah,
switching off your mobile
and young
or
people
even
have
being connected.
Yeah, and young people have demonstrably a lower tolerance for opposing opinions, which is generating big problems in the harmony sphere of social relationships. So again, it's not that there's no issues,
Yeah.
but if you remember correctly, I'm preparing a lecture at the university on that's going to call it's going to be called fear of AI,
Yo.
and
Okay.
it's
Fear of
also
AI.
fear
What
of
a
AI.
title.
And it starts with this picture, which is quite famous. When the electricity was released in the world, when the electricity came out, there was this picture showing this city filled with cables and horses being electrified and people just hanging around, and a dead picture of a skull. It's quite a known illustration. I don't remember the specifics, but it's exactly what happened. If you read Plato, I think it was Plato, and again, I hope I'm not going deeper than I should, but quoting names. But I think it was Plato that was quoted saying that books had rotten this generation of youngsters that only wanted to read.
Oh. Oh,
I think it was Plato.
interesting.
You can see
Not
if I'm not
sure. Yeah.
hallucinating at a
Mhm.
later point, but I
Human
seem to
form hallucination, not AI form
the human
hallucination.
hallucination. But I seem to recall that. So every time there's been a major shift on these things, it's or in communication means, there's always going to be people that don't agree, and there's always going to be people that for which it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it's just how it is. But
Hmm.
as the
Hmm.
generation replaces, then they will have new methods, new things. Like in Norway, for example, a lot of people uses Snapchat.
Yes.
I never used Snapchat before this. I learned to use it here. Uh, my family in Central America uses WhatsApp, and a lot of my friends uses Messenger. So it's the same interaction. It's happening on different channels, and for them,
Yes.
it's equally valid.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yes, so-
I mean, but taking it back to the health, though, I mean, yeah, we talk about its interactions. Yeah, we're still keeping an eye on each other in different ways.
yeah, yeah.
But if you ever kind of travel to a village or if you travel to a different country where technology is not really at the forefront and you just see those interactions that you might be used to from childhood of, playing outside and
I,
getting messy
mm,
and muddy,
mm,
how.
I think we're romanticizing it a little bit.
Hmm.
I don't think it is. I don't think it was nearly as wrong. We had a lot of people doing harm then as well. And again, I'm not blind to the dangers of technology. But did you know that you can basically kill yourself with water?
With work.
With water. And
With water,
with
yeah.
water. You
Yes,
can
yes.
you can drink enough water to kill yourself.
Hmm.
You can do all sorts of things that, taken to the extreme, will destroy you. It's not any different with social media. You can go, or even mobile phones. I think that was probably what spared our generation, which is that we had both allies.
Yeah.
We were the last ones. We still met our friends outside. We still went out to have a pizza. We still gathered at night. Inviting someone to date was asking them out properly. But
Yes.
but that was then, and it's not how it is now. So if we romanticize what was, then we are not focused on the problems of today, and the
Yes.
solution cannot be go back, because I really want to know who's going to. There might be someone, but who's going to become if you have the opportunity, you're not going to become an expert in, well, myself, quote unquote, on technology, or a programmer, or something else like that. So I think, and it's a very different world. It's a lot more competitive. Our families, generally speaking, face a lot more uncertainty and insecurity in all fields. There's a
Hmm.
there's a lack of upskilling. People are a bit confused and scared because they don't know if they have a job today. They don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow.
Hmm. In a way, technology has allowed us to grow in other areas and be able to maximize the most of and the most of what we have and be able to kind of push boundaries and utilize it for the best. And I think that's a really good place to kind of, try to wrap up this podcast, because I think, we spoke deeply about methodologies of education within your book, and I'm excited to see when it's going to come out as well. When do you think it's going to come out?
This one will live for winter, because I might be I might be busy with the one on summer. It's like, if not, I will end up opening a publisher.
That is brilliant. That's brilliant. But yeah, exactly. So it's, you've given us a lot to think of. And the quote that you mentioned there about, the solutions of today is the problem of tomorrow. And this is where sustainability is a massive factor. Sustainability and technology, of how can we maintain what we have, or introduce new growth and inspiration into what we have to
Exactly.
be better for our children
Exactly.
tomorrow. So it's kind of, being aware of not just living in the temporary now,
Exactly.
but living in the
Just because I
future.
think it was better.
Yes.
We need to use these tools. We need to potentiate this if we're really going to tackle the challenges of tomorrow, because they're not the
Yes.
challenges of today.
Yes, exactly. What a way to end the podcast. Something for us all to think about. Something that we do today, how is it going to affect someone tomorrow? And a lot of your work, Carlos, is going to affect a lot of people of tomorrow. You're writing books, you've done a lot of material for training. So it's really exciting stuff. So thank you very much, Carlos. Would you like to leave our listeners with any particular comment or quote today?
Oh, well, I would like to invite everyone to educate themselves. To educate themselves, keep researching, keep using the one and only brain that we have. Read more, study more. That will make you less open to be attacked by snakes, oil snake salesmen. Is it snake oil
It's the
sales?
first time I hear that.
A snake oil salesman was in the wild west. It was a person that would go around in caravans selling magical cures for everything. So it would kill, which is exactly what happens with AI. A lot of people are scared because a lot of people are misusing their position. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my 2 cents on it.
I
Upskill,
really like that.
study, face your fears.
Upskill, sorry, what was the second one?
Upskill, study, and face your fears.
Brilliant. Upskill, study, and face your fears. Face your fields?
Fears.
Fears.
Right.
Upskill, study, and face your fears is a very good thing for us to take away at the end of today. Very good comment, quote that we can kind of maybe work on and start our day tomorrow with. Or if you've listened to this podcast first thing in the morning, then this is a good way to continue. But definitely reading is the way forward. Reading of things that has happened is helping us to move forward. So education.
Perfect. Could not have said it better.
You did. Well, thank you very much, Carlos. You've been a great sport. Really appreciate your time with us today. Thank you all listeners to listening to Optimize et al. And I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Bye-bye from me.
Goodbye.